Right. You have to start in order to see progress. There's no way around it. It's just, people think like, well, I don't know, this is in the way, this is in the way, but there's no other way to progress aside from starting and starting sloppy, starting messy, but learning as you start.
All right. Hey guys, so my name's Lyle. I'm from That Viral Moment, where we are on a mission to empower the next generation of content creators. And here with me today is a really special guest. This is Sydney Cummings, a personal YouTuber who is really invested in fitness and health of the greater fitness community online. How are you doing, Sydney?
Yeah, hello. I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Yeah, I was actually watching one of your videos earlier today and it's crazy because you have hundreds of different videos of programs out there. I'm curious if when did you start getting into fitness yourself?
I guess to be honest, I've been an athlete my whole life. So
Hmm.
there never was a point where I kind of turned over in my mind into something different.
Hmm.
I think I still kind of view myself as an athlete. So growing up, I did basketball, I did volleyball, soccer, track and field, and then actually got a track and field scholarship to West Virginia University. And that the way that I train now has just kind of always been athletically centered, like knowing how the body's supposed to move and making sure that people are focusing on technique and staying injury free and generating strength and power. I think it all just boils back to who I was kind of molded into as an athlete. So, as far
Yeah.
as a profession, it was after college in 2014 when I moved to Charlotte and decided to what I thought would be take a summer job as a personal trainer. And, as we're here today, that was 6 years ago,
Hmm.
and I can't believe it's been that long. But that summer job obviously turned into my whole career, my whole life. So I guess after college was when I really dove in as a fitness professional.
Hmm. Yeah. How would you say fitness has changed or just made an impact on your life in general? Do you remember life like, I guess, so you said you've kind of been doing it your whole life, so it might be hard to reflect on something that you don't even know what it's like without. But, if you could talk a little bit to just how being healthy and, working out has, improved your productivity or just like had an influence on you as you've evolved, that'd be awesome to learn a little more about.
Yeah, I think, like you mentioned, it's been kind of where I find my identity, and
Mhm.
uh, kind of just living a healthy life has been something that I've always done, I've always had in my life. And I think when I was recruited as a college athlete, it forced me to kind of level up into taking it a bit more seriously. And I think I credit a lot of who I am today with how I learned to be a college athlete, or how I learned to
Mhm.
make it work in college as an athlete with
Mhm.
your time management and your prioritization and your respect for the hard work, even when you don't want to,
Yep.
and just the team aspect and supporting each other. And I think that has come into who I definitely made me who I was in college. And then from there, I feel like that's the most positive part of me, is just I truly feel like those characteristics made me who I am today as a professional.
Yep.
Graduating college, the script kind of flipped to where I wasn't being coached anymore, but now I could do the coaching. And in
Hey.
that regard, I know how people feel,
Yep.
as kind of what I think of everyone as an athlete in some way or another. We all can move in the way that athletes move.
Mhm.
So, in that way, I think I learned how to be on the other side of the table and give people what I had been given my whole life, with just learning, helping them learn how to prioritize their health, how much better it makes them feel, how you can take strength that you display in a workout and display that in another part of your life too. So I guess two different kinds of evolution there, just coming
Yeah.
into a college athlete and then coming from an athlete into giving that back to people as a coach.
Yep.
It kind of molded me into like the fitness professional and business owner that I am today.
And that's incredible because, persistence and dedication is so fundamental to really anything, whether it's a job or you're an entrepreneur or you want to learn a skill, like you want to be a musician, really anything in life you have to commit to if you want to see those results. I guess I'm curious, have you ever, and I know that there's a lot of people who, let's say they want to get into fitness, but maybe they're either discouraged or they feel like it's a chore. Like,
Yeah.
have you gone through those days where you need to get in that workout, but maybe you're really exhausted and have there ever been maybe negative sides to working out, or things that were, difficult challenges that you had to overcome on your journey to where you are today?
I definitely think there's a big misconception around fitness professionals that they always want to work out.
Mm.
Or
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
is not the case. I can tell you out of an average week, there are probably 3 days that I just don't want to work out.
Hmm.
And especially being a fitness business owner, there are so many other things I have to do in a day where I don't just work out. I'm running a business with so many different avenues to it that kind of fall back on me. So there are definitely days where I don't want to work out, and the misconception around only getting into fitness when you're totally ready, or when you think you can finally dedicate yourself consistently, or when
Hmm.
everything lines up, the stars align, you have, financially you're in the right place, timing, you have all kinds of free time. It's just not like that. It has to become a dedicated decision that you make for yourself. And in that moment when you decide this is going to be for me, it has to be like a no turning back kind of thing. It has to be like, in spite of all the things that I have to do, or in conjunction with all my other responsibilities, I'm going to do this because, and then I think people have to identify why it matters to them. Why are they even contemplating getting into fitness? Why are
What's
they
the
even
mission?
thinking,
Mhm.
yeah, what's the mission? What are you going to get out of this? And keep attaching that to every day that you don't want to work out, and keep attaching that to pushing through a workout when you're sore, when
Yep.
you're distracted, when you're tired. It has to continuously be a benefit to you mentally, even if you can't get to that workout 100% motivated. It's coming back to your why, and after making the decision and establishing your why, I think once you start getting consistent and reaping the benefits of consistently working out, you start to realize why you started in the first place, and you feel
Yeah.
better, you look better, you think better, you just feel more confident in who you are as a person. In my opinion, I think you learn a lot about yourself in a workout, and
Yeah.
how you can push through things on the mat or in the gym. You can also do that in real life. So I often pull those kind of aspects of working out into a business decision for yourself, or a personal issue that you're going through where you need some strength. You display it in your workouts, you push through a lot, and let's take those things into who you are as a person. But back to your question, I think it just starts with making a decision that you're going to start and you're not going to give up, and then keep remembering why you even started, and
Yep.
also enjoy the journey.
100%. So, you touched on consistency a bit there. And I think consistency can be a bit different for someone else. For example, if someone was, let's say, a pro NBA player, there's definitely a different level of consistency in their work ethic around, let's say, exercise. But for someone who might be more sedentary in their lifestyle and wants to start, do you have any thoughts around what consistency means to you? Do you think it just means finding something that you can commit to, that you tell yourself, okay, I'm going into this and I want to work out 2 days a week,
Mm-hmm.
every Monday and Thursday, and then
Yeah.
sticking to that? It's not about, there's only one definition to what it means to be consistent.
You're so right. Yeah, everyone is at a different starting point. And to match yourself up with the LeBron James of basketball when you're just picking up a ball isn't even fair to yourself. You're
Mhm.
already defeating yourself mentally. So, absolutely understanding that your starting point is your starting point, and knowing everyone has been there at one point. Every
Yep.
single person that's working out now, that is the 6 day a week, 2 times a day, recovered, super lean person, started at one point. They started 1 day a week, they started 2 days a week, they started learning how to move their body. So as much as you try to measure yourself up to someone who is an athlete or who works out 6 days a week, you're
Hmm.
not tuning into the reality that they also started somewhere. So just knowing consistency doesn't have to mean frequency. It's totally different. So consistency can mean I'm going to each day think in a way that makes me challenge myself to be healthy. So maybe it's every day for the next week, I'm going to think of drinking more water because it makes me feel better. And I'm going to think of what's a better decision for my lunch today. And I'm going to think of how can I just move my body? It doesn't have to be a workout, but how can I get
Mm.
up and walk? How can I stretch? How can I just be active and make decisions that support a healthy lifestyle,
Yep.
instead of saying I need to do a vigorous workout six
And
days a week and I'm only going to start my fitness journey when that's possible for me, because then
uh,
you'll never start, right?
I love that you said that, because I was gonna ask you about, one thing with fitness is it kind of can go in tandem with how is your physical health, right? Like, what if you're
Mhm.
injured? What if you broke your ankle while you went for a walk, or you injured yourself. And I think
Yeah.
you in a way just answered my question, right? Where it's, let's say someone's committed to 5 days a week and then they injure themselves and the doctor says, hey, you can't do XYZ for the next 3 months. And that's like heartbreaking in the moment, because
Yeah.
that person's dedicated and they've done it for 8 months and they've seen results, and they're like just heartbroken with that information. They don't know how to process it. But you mentioned something that's really important there, which is that, you know, success and in fitness, or really in anything, it doesn't have to be defined by in one specific way, right? Like getting up and maybe going for a walk, or doing something moving your body. Maybe that's the
Yes.
win. Maybe that's the simple goal that, you know, you have to be able to adapt to your reality. And
Yeah.
I was going to ask about that, because I'm sure at some point in your career, you might have encountered a situation where you were injured or you needed time to recover from something, and you had to figure out, how do I navigate that?
Yeah, and I think, we can get into that story of kind of what I've gone through in the past couple of years, but I talk about this a lot in the Sydney Squad, which is like my group coaching community. We talk all the time about how there's so much more to health than just the physical workout. It's, think of your timeline of a day, and you have 24 hours in a day. You take away, say, 8 for sleep.
Hmm.
That's 16 more hours that you can be thinking of ways to be healthy. You're not going to work out for 16 hours. You're maybe going to work out for
Yeah.
half of one of those, or,
Hmm.
one whole hour. But outside of that, you still have complete control over the ways that you contribute positively to your health. And if you take away a workout, okay, you still have 15 hours to do things that will make you a better person in terms of your wellness. That's mental health, that's hydration, that's sleep, that's mobility, stretching, doing things that, say you did break your ankle, you can't jump up and down, but you can sit down and stretch and move your body. You can
Hmm.
walk, or maybe not with the ankle, but say you have a shoulder injury, you can walk. You don't have to do push-ups. You can do push-ups if you hurt your ankle on your knees. There are different ways to make it work, but there are, I think 5 domains of health. And if your 30 to 60-minute workout is cut off for a couple months, you can still do things that contribute to your health. You still control what you eat and how that food benefits you or doesn't. You still have to get great sleep. You still have to hydrate. You still have to mentally be checking in with your mental health, making sure your self-care is okay. So there's just so many more aspects to the journey than the 30 to 60 minutes each day that you spend working out, where you can still make a positive benefit or positive deposit into your health bank.
I love that. I was gonna, it's a perfect segue, because I was gonna say, so you've been into personal training for about 6 years,
Yeah.
and I was gonna ask, before we talk about YouTube and the incredible audience you've grown. By the way, congratulations on 800,000 subscribers. That is
Thank you.
an amazing milestone. I
Thank
was
you.
gonna ask a bit about the motivation behind why you got into the personal training space, where you spent all these years focusing on growing and maturing yourself as an athlete, and now you're taking a step back and saying, what can I do for the greater community?
Yeah, it actually was not something that I ever intended to be doing long
Hmm.
term. There was kind of like a transition period. And if anyone is a college athlete that's listening to this, or previous college athlete, you can relate to that kind of sense of loss of identity after college, I think. I think it's looked over a lot, but there was a point after college where, for my whole life, like I mentioned, people had been telling me what to do, where to be, when to train, what to
Hmm.
train, how to train. And then all of a sudden one day they just don't care anymore. And it's just you, and you have to figure it out for yourself. So after I graduated college and my college career was over, I actually went back to nursing school and thought, this will be a safe job. This will be a job where I have security. I had trouble finding a job with the major that I graduated with, which was child life development, and I couldn't find a job. So I struggled with that, thought I would go back to school for nursing. That would be a job with security. I could go anywhere and,
Hmm.
move to another state, still have a job. And I was putting myself through nursing school with working at a nonprofit. I got laid off from my nonprofit, and my fiance Dustin had already moved down to Charlotte to start his banking or his finance career. So called him, was crying, told him I lost my job,
Hmm.
and he mentioned to me that he actually talked to a gym manager at the gym that he was working out at in Charlotte, who told him, if your girlfriend is a college athlete and she is like as great as you say she is, tell her to come down here and I'll put her through a training and she can have, a summer job to at least make ends meet until she goes back to nursing school. So that's what I thought it was going to be when I started training. I thought, I'll take my severance package and go to Charlotte, make some money for the summer to kind of save up for nursing school again. And of course, long story short, I didn't go back to nursing school, but I think just fitness for me was viewed by a lot of people as a hobby or as a pipe dream or just something that, wasn't sustainable long term.
Hmm.
So I can't say that I went into fitness with a ton of like support and long-term goals and admiration, but when I did get into it, the way that it kind of like captivated me and made me feel like I was full potential Sydney, like optimizing myself as who I really felt called to be, I couldn't leave that after I
Yeah.
started. So I didn't go back to nursing school and just kind of hustled as much as I could. And moving to Charlotte, I didn't know anyone besides Dustin, who also didn't know anyone. So we moved to this city where it was just, the two of us. And
Hmm.
in personal training, you need a client base to make any money, to make ends meet. And I remember my first paycheck here was $200 for 2 weeks. And I was like, what
Mm.
am I doing? This was a terrible decision. I need to go back to nursing school.
Mm.
But, Dustin was like, just keep meeting people, just keep being out there, just keep talking to people, do everything that you can. Don't just say like, whoa, this is hard, I'm not making a lot of money, and give up on it. He said, give it a year. Kind of gave me an ultimatum. He said, give it a year and exhaust all your options.
Hmm.
If it doesn't work, you'll head back to nursing school. And I said, okay. So knowing that I had that kind of 1 year goal to make it work, and as much as I loved it, I knew I was going to. And at the same time, I didn't have a ton of support. So I kind of wanted to prove those people wrong. I just got to work and I was like, I'm going to be doing free boot camps outside. I'm going to be all over social media, connecting with people, at one point I was working at 3 gyms, training people in their homes and offering free boot camps on the weekend, and just trying to get myself out there, just trying to meet people and let me train them. Like I was trying to exhaust all
Hmm.
my options, like Dustin kind of said.
So it's incredible because here you are saying that financially this career wasn't very lucrative,
No.
but here you are offering free trainings because
Mhm.
you really loved what you were doing and you wanted to make a difference. So, you
Yeah.
know, talk to me a little bit about that. What was kind of going through your head when you were saying, you know what, like I want to expand this community that I'm building?
Yeah, it was very defeating at first. And there's a misconception around fitness, another one I guess, that I thought all trainers just immediately had a full client base, they made a ton of money.
Mm-hmm.
And in the commercial gym setting, that's tough because you give about 80% of what the client pays to the gym, so they make all the money when in reality trainers do all of the sessions. So I didn't know that coming in. I, of course, was new to the industry, so learned that I had to make my face just be out there, be known, be available for people. I think there was no entitlement. I didn't hold any entitlement to myself that I was, everything that I do, you're going to pay me for it. It's like if I need people, people have to know me and people have to see me and experience this passion that I have. And I'm thankful that Dustin had an apartment. I basically made enough money to buy gas to get to and
Yeah.
from the gym, and I definitely just had no ego about it. I know that
Mm.
reality is we have to make money to support ourselves, and I knew for a little while it was going to be tough. It was going to be a grind. I had to hustle, and for that reason I just made sure that my time was filled with not just being busy, but working on building that client base. And instead of just scrolling through Instagram or looking on Facebook for like this trick or this secret or something, it was just meeting people, it was just in front
Yep.
of people.
Yeah, and when I think of this and I'm thinking about the time period, pre-pandemic and everything, there was the physical aspect of physically meeting people was so important to, especially if you're a personal trainer and
Right.
you obviously start out local.
Yeah.
So at this time, where was YouTube in the picture of all of this? Was YouTube something that when you said I'm going to start social media, was this a little before YouTube, or kind of when did that fall into the journey?
Yeah, it was definitely before YouTube. I was just kind of getting into Instagram for fitness
Mhm.
at that point. And this was 2014, probably until 2017. I was just, I would say, hustling or,
Yeah.
out there trying to get everywhere, working at all these gyms. In 16 and 17, I kind of narrowed down to just working at one gym, like a group fitness gym with personal training. And then that gym actually ended up firing me for
Mm.
becoming competition for my free boot camps, which
Uh,
were growing really
but
quickly.
they weren't even making money, but you were
Nope,
competition.
they were
Yeah.
not making any money. I wasn't
Mhm.
taking any personal clients from them, but the gym said, your boot camps you're meeting 100 people in the park on Saturdays. And, unless you
Yeah.
stop those, your employment here is officially done. So I knew in my heart that I eventually wanted to get to the point where I was running and owning my own business.
Mhm.
And so I just thought, maybe this is my calling to be leveling myself up. And so I didn't stop the free boot camps. I got
Yeah.
fired. That gym closed down a couple months later, but that's beside the point. The point there was a transition where
Mhm.
again I was at this moment where oh my gosh, what am I going to do for my client base? I have to grow that all over again. So
Mhm.
I was then able to rent some space out of my, excuse me, out of my apartment complex gym and start getting clients from that free boot camp to let me train them in person. And that's when I really felt like I'm getting control over my business.
Mhm.
Still wasn't thinking about YouTube,
Right.
still was just trying to get a full book of clients. And I would say 2017 is when Dustin and I started kind of teetering with the idea of creating these programs for
Mhm.
digital purchase. So if more people could access them outside of Charlotte, it would help us help more people. And the turning point for me was when I lost my younger brother, Zach.
Mhm.
This was in 2017, he was 24 and he tragically passed away from an ATV accident.
Mhm.
And in that moment, I think if anyone has lost someone, you can relate to that kind of reality check
Yep.
or look at your whole life and how you're really impacting the world or how you're really living out your mission. And if you were to be only guaranteed one more day, would you be proud of the legacy that you were leaving, and could you
Mhm.
truly say that you were doing everything that you could to make as much of a difference or to live the life that you truly feel like you're called to live? And when my brother passed, I evaluated myself and I said, no, I just think I'm getting complacent. I think I'm working on this full book of clients. And at the end of the day, all that time is gone and I have no way to help people outside of the hour that I spend with one person in the gym. And that's when Dustin and I started thinking like maybe we'll get into YouTube and just randomly put these 5-minute ab workouts up or these 10-minute cardio workouts. And we thought, this is a point where not everything works out perfectly whenever you first try it. We thought, okay, if we put these little burnouts on YouTube and these little 10-minute cardios, people will use them after they go to the gym. And so that was our mission for like 4 months, and it wasn't going anywhere. No one
Mhm.
was responding. We were uploading sporadically. We were
Mm.
doing inconsistent uploads because I still had to do personal training for, probably 80 hours a week. Dustin was still a full-time CPA and doing freelance videography and photography at this point.
Mm.
So we didn't go all in on YouTube until Dustin again came in with the ultimatum, and I was like, we're either going to go into YouTube like all in, we're
Mhm.
going to go daily, we're going to do something that sets ourselves apart from everyone else, because people can't know you and trust you if you're just randomly uploading. And
Yeah.
this is taking so much time. Each time we upload is like a 10-hour process, but
Yeah.
we're getting 100 views. Like it's just not worth it for either of us. So
Yep.
that's when we kind of said we're going to do something that isn't being done. We're going to dive all in, take this risk, because
Mhm.
we just want to help more people than what we are. And at that point it wasn't adding up, just doing
Yeah.
random uploads.
I think a lot of people don't, when they're starting a channel, they don't realize kind of what you realize, which is you went into it with a long-term vision. You were like,
Mhm.
okay, this is my mission. These are the people I want to help. And digital gives me an avenue to connect with people that I would otherwise not be able to.
Exactly.
And it's so important because it sounds like there was a pivotal moment where you realized, okay, the growth isn't what I'd like it to be. But if
Mm,
we make a few changes in our strategy and we take this a little more seriously, I think we can actually see the results that we're looking for. And you definitely did that,
yeah.
and the results are incredible. And I think that, it's funny earlier, right? You were saying how people look at an athlete, and from the outside perspective looking in, they'll be like, wow, like they must have always looked that way. They must have,
Mhm.
it must be so easy or come natural. In a way, it's the same thing with YouTube and with any social media, right? Like it's easy for
Definitely.
someone to look at a huge channel and be like, wow, they must have had a viral video overnight and then grown their audience. But it's like, no, like it's always humbling to hear the beginnings of a creator
Yeah.
like yourself, who you've been there, you've experienced what it's like to not see those results. But the difference being that you didn't let that discourage you. And the same thing with the other difficult moments in your life. You use these as empowering driving forces in your behind your mission and journey. And that's amazing.
Yeah, I think we all really have to. I mean, look at all that all of us have come through. Like, no one has really had a perfect life. No one has
Right.
not gotten through something tough. So, to say that, I moved to Charlotte with no support. I got fired from a gym. I had to
Mm,
restart basically, didn't know anyone. I lost my brother. I also was a victim of gun violence, like, tried to do a YouTube channel. It didn't take off
mm,
in the beginning. There's been so much more failure than people realize. But if
yeah.
you just kind of look at the end goal, like if you look at LeBron and his national championship, you don't know the hours that he spends in the gym every day, or all the times he's gotten hurt and he's had to come back, all the little like ankle sprains he's experienced, or, things like that. It's not just like a golden brick road to where he is now. Like,
Yep.
we've all in some way scale back from LeBron, but look at all of us. And in some way we've gotten through something really tough. So to let it stop you is kind of doing a disservice to the goals that you have for yourself. Because
It's
either way, we're going to move forward. It's just,
yeah.
how do you decide to view this moment where you're kind of forced to evaluate, like, do I become a victim or do I become a victor and use this to
Ooh,
propel me forward?
I love that. Yeah. And it sounds like there's two things: perspective and passion. You
Yeah.
have to really love what you're doing and care about it, but you also have to have the right mindset behind it. I can't have one 30-minute ab workout and be like, Sydney, why don't I have a six pack?
Right.
Right. But I have to really take stabs at it, and not, and just almost appreciate the process, but almost expect the process. Like, don't go into
Yeah.
something thinking that immediately the results are going to show day 3, week 2. It's like you have to
Mhm.
almost have the realistic look at it, and you say, okay, this is going to take time, but I'm not in it for the short run. You know I'm in this because a year or 2 years from now, I want to have made some sort of progress into achieving what it was that I set out to do. And
Right.
so,
Yeah, and it's
yeah.
it's just like, if you're in a situation where, over the course of a year you've gained 15 pounds. Like, you didn't just gain all of those pounds yesterday. It's added up slowly, maybe not as slow as you wish, but it's added up. And in that same way, there was a journey to get to where you are now. And the same way for the next best version of yourself, there's going to be a journey to where you've got to overcome some things. You've got
Yep.
to make some decisions as far as time management. You've got to just
Hmm.
be aware that this isn't anything quick and overnight, but the journey is kind of what shapes you anyways, in my opinion.
I love that. So you started this channel, I think it was about 3 years ago, right? On
Yeah.
YouTube, maybe. Yeah. So 3 years ago, and it was a bit inconsistent at first. And then, you got kind of a reminder from your fiance saying, hey, like we have to take this seriously if
Yeah.
it's going to be worth our time. And then you did that. So you started these daily uploads, and kind of talk to me a bit about that process. Like, I imagine thinking of the content of the workout plan and making it different every single time must have been really challenging, let alone you're uploading every single day. I mean, a lot of YouTubers upload once a week, or a few times a month. So every single day, that sets you apart immediately. But how did you keep up with all of that?
Yeah, I will say, I know Dustin's not here right now, but
Mhm.
there's just no way I could have done this on my own.
Mhm.
So, his sacrifice of, he eventually left his job as a CPA and just went in full time with me. Not immediately because, we had to be able to afford rent, but
Mhm. Yep.
eventually he just totally dove in and dedicated himself to this as well. So, we kind of combined our two passions of, him being so great at business analytics and photography and videography. So basically the whole back end of our fitness business. And then me being so passionate about fitness and, I'm working out 6 days a week anyway. So I thought, why not make this something that can help other people at the same time? Instead of me just going to a gym, I lose that time. I could do something with that time. And,
Mm.
it's nothing for me to say, okay, I'm going to do my workout. I'm going to coach you through how I'm doing it. And I'm going to do this anyway. So why not both of us benefit from it? And, just creating new content each day has been something I kind of feel like it's my creative outlet in a way.
Yeah.
It's like my time to disconnect from, responding to emails or direct messages or comments or whatever it is, and just work out and feel like I'm truly contributing to someone's life, and
Mm.
always envisioning the value that I'm giving to people, and someone showing up on a day that they don't want to work out and they're like, okay, Sydney, like, tell me what to do.
Yeah.
I've got you. That's
Yeah.
why I'm
And
here.
I love it. And it's not even just the directions of, okay, first you're going to do this and this. You also have this huge element of motivational speaking where you
Mm.
draw and reflect on some of your personal anecdotes and memories and things like that. And I think that's an innate gift that you have as well. So would you say that, part of being a content creator is you in this situation, you have to explain what you're doing as you're doing it. So was that a
Yeah.
challenge at first where, you're going from, okay, I know what I'm doing, but now I have to reflect and actually vocalize it to an audience that's watching me from a computer?
Yeah, it is something I had to learn for sure. Going through, I think this is the blessing of the journey. I always say, like, there's so much power in the journey, but the blessing of the journey of being a personal trainer for, hundreds of people before I ever jumped online was that I got to watch people's bodies, what they do when they get tired, how they tend to move, if there are movement compensations, if there are, inactive muscles, if there are tight joints, and, so much. I just love to research the body, but knowing what people tend to do in this situation when they get tired, and in this situation when they get tired, and if this might be happening, this is something I could say to ignite that glute muscle that might be inactive. So the blessing of being around so many different people with so many different starting points and ailments and fitness levels was that I
Hmm.
truly got to research how to be the best trainer. And watching people is just so powerful in knowing, like, all right, I can tell they're getting tired, and now I identify what happens when they get tired. And that really helped me be a great coach to people that I can't see in front of me. I
Yeah.
know also, because I'm doing the workout with you, every single rep, pushing as hard as I can. When I get tired, I know you might be getting tired as well. I can feel what my body might start to do when I get tired. And in that instance, I'm going to correct myself and I'm going to coach you. Like, hey, if you're feeling this, like your back's starting to round out because you're getting tired, me too. You're not alone. But also, let's pull it back. Let's straighten up your posture and let's engage your core a little bit. So
Hmm.
I think it comes from the experience and,
Yeah.
and learning. Ironically, the mirror cues were the hardest for me, like saying my left hand when this is actually my right, so that
Mm.
you and I can do the same arm and it's your
Yeah.
right but my left. I
Ah.
think that was the hardest for me.
Connecting with the audience. Yeah,
Yes.
that's so true. And so it sounds like there was just, I mean, you have so much self-awareness to be able to reflect. Like even you said in the moment, if you're getting tired, you're able to be like, okay, people are going to watch this. I need to be an example. How can I do that? And then execute. I think
Yeah.
that's hard for a lot of people. Um, when was it in your YouTube journey that you feel like you saw your first glimpse of success? And when I say success, success is different for everyone, right? Some
Yeah.
people don't have goals of growing a huge channel, or some are just happy with putting out content. But in the success, in the sense that you connected with a greater audience and you felt like you were starting to achieve that goal you had of really bringing free fitness to the greater community out there.
I think there are a couple levels to that I feel like, wow, this is real. This is happening. This is changing lives. I think when we first started and seeing people comment on the videos that I didn't personally know, that was really exciting to me. Like I always say, like our first 100 subscribers, I'm pretty sure that, a lot of them were from my hometown, but as we
Yep.
started to grow and people started to continuously come back that I had never met in my life, I think that was a moment where I realized this is really going to change some lives. And, this was like 500 subscribers in. I thought, wow, this is going to be something that really could turn someone's world around. And then I think the second point was after we did YouTube for about a year, and we
Hmm.
did a meet and greet in New York City, and we did 4 meet and greets last year. Couldn't do any
Wow.
this year, of course, but
Yep.
we went to New York City, we went to Houston, LA, and then we did an event here in Charlotte. And I think it was such a turning point for Dustin and myself to, instead of just, record the workout, edit it, upload it, see the comments, we got to see people. And
Visual. It's real. Yeah.
visually, yeah, we got to hug people that,
Oh my God.
cried into my chest, like, you saved my life. I was at
Mm.
such a dark place. Or something as deep as that, something as minute as I finally have time for myself as a new mom, or I finally feel like I can train like an athlete. When I was playing
Mm.
football in college, I finally feel that feeling again with you. It's just, in so many different ways, the channel had really, really impacted people, and I got to just hear them and see them and meet them. And I think that was something that, we're like, we're never going to stop working now. We're going to work all the
Yeah.
time, because, who knows who's out there waiting for this to be their answer to
Right.
change their life.
And like you said, it wasn't overnight. This took a
Right.
long time, and
Yeah.
you had to just keep a level head on your mind, and not get discouraged. And it's kind of like a similar tie between fitness and content creation is potential burnout, where
Hmm.
you're doing it. Oops, sorry, you're repeating it a lot, and you keep doing it, and then all of a sudden you realize that it's like, oh man, I'm tired, or I don't like this, or I'm getting bored, or I'm not seeing the results that I want to see. So did you with YouTube ever feel that? And I know you said earlier on, with Dustin, you were talking about, is this worth our time? Like, how did you get through those moments mentally when you might have felt like, oh man, like I'm not exactly sure if this is the right avenue?
Oh, that's a good question. I think it just goes back to the people that I could see were commenting and positively benefiting. Like, I always reference the very first in-person personal training client that I had. Her name was Carla. And like, the moment she did her first push-up, I was so on fire, just so proud of
Yeah.
her. My heart felt so full. And it was that same thing in YouTube. And being realistic, it's not all about just like emotionally feeling great. I know that, people have to pay their bills. So
Right.
we were aware for a long time that we weren't just going to be able to just cut everything off and only do YouTube. But we knew we were going to have to grow into that for sure. And,
Yeah.
like I mentioned earlier, Dustin was still a full-time CPA. So he worked, 8 to 5. And then when he got off work, he would film me. And then later he would go to a photography shoot. And on the weekends, he would go videography, freelance work. And I was personal training anytime he was working.
Hmm.
So it was definitely an understanding between Dustin and myself. If we sit down, this is not going to be easy, but if it's going to be something big and it's going to be something that could really change lives,
Yeah.
there's going to be a consistent uphill battle, until it starts to really gain traction and get to that point where it's a business and it's a brand and it's
Yep.
something that people know outside of just people that know us. So it wasn't something that came easy. Like you said, there was no like one viral hit that all of a sudden
Yep.
got us to 800,000 subscribers. It was,
Yeah.
1,200 workouts and
Yeah.
daily, just understanding it's not easy, but if you give up now, you immediately cut off potential for more growth.
Yep. Yeah, that's the funny part. I feel like I've said this on other interviews, but we call ourselves that viral moment. But in reality, it's like virality is a slow, gradual process for a
Mm-hmm.
successful project, and it's not about the end. It's about all the inputs to reach to that output. And even when you reach that output, even if your goal was 100,000 subscribers, it's okay. Now we have to reset, and we have to, keep going, and we have to. And again, it's subscribers is one goal, but it sounds like, and I think this is a great way to look at it, because even for YouTubers that have 5 subscribers, if
Mm-hmm.
you get a comment and someone's like, this made my day, or you
Yeah.
see positive feedback, don't worry about where you are as a channel compared to other channels. Like, you're already making impact. You're already succeeding in a lot of the
Yeah.
ways that you set out to do. So
Exactly.
yeah, I was going to ask you, like, in terms of nurturing engagement and making people feel a part of the community. One thing that's difficult with YouTube or any social media, especially when you're at your size, like you might post a video and there's no way you could respond to every single comment and engage with every single person. Earlier on, maybe it's possible to do that, but I'm curious what some of the things you've done or what some of your strategies were to get people to feel like a part of the community, to get people to watch your next video, to get people to stay and to subscribe and ultimately continue following you in your programs as you put them out.
I think it all boils back to making sure that I'm constantly giving them value and
Mm,
making sure that them spending their time with me benefits them in some way. And I try to I spread it across the platform. So I'll try to do an Instagram story that gives you a behind the scenes of what workout you'll see tomorrow. I just did it. Here's what I did. Here's what to expect. Make sure you swipe up and subscribe to the channel so you can
mm,
make sure that workout is something you can do tomorrow. On the YouTube channel, I, in the beginning, initially thought I need to make this perfect. I don't need to ever look like I'm tired. I don't need to
mhm,
ever fumble my words or trip over my mat or spill my water or whatever. And I've just consistently, the moment I started to be real and be goofy and be myself and make people feel like I'm just working out with my best friend in my living room,
mm,
I think that's when people started to really trust me and
mm.
invest their time in me as a trainer instead of
Yep.
me just kind of holding myself as a superior or
Yep.
making myself like entitled or super
So
egotistical.
funny.
I want to like lock arms with you and go on this journey together.
Yeah, you want it to resonate with them that you're also a real person and not like a
Yeah.
robot. And I think that's something, people are afraid to be vulnerable, especially online, right? Like this
Hmm.
video could be seen by potentially thousands of people. And if there's words that are jumbled or if there's, weird moments in the video, it's like that's so natural. And so to anyone else, like that's like an any day interaction. But there's this weird part of, okay, I'm putting it on YouTube or I'm putting it out in front of the world. But I think it's awesome that even you said like being unapologetically yourself was
Hmm.
actually one of the driving forces that made a turning point in your channel's success.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people just think of what other people are going to think, or they always are concerned with, if I say this or if I mess up on my words, what is so and so going to think about me? Like, I'm going to look so goofy at my
Hmm.
attempt. I can tell you, everyone has been there. Like, everyone that is a creator that you look up to online has started their channel, messed up on their words, had to do
Oh
a
yeah.
retake, flubbed
For
on
sure.
spilling their water, and everyone has done that. So I think until you really put yourself out there and you show who you really are, that's who you're going to attract anyway as a community. So if you try to be this person that you're not, you're going to attract people that are not like you. And that can be troublesome when you do start to have the courage to become
Yep.
yourself. You start to be silly and you start to mess up on words, or you start to have like these weird quirks that come out that people that are like you would appreciate, but you cultivated this audience to where they're not expecting that and that's
Mm,
not who they thought you were.
mm.
That can be troublesome for you in your
Wow.
growth. So
Yeah.
like attracts like. You want to attract people that are like you, and
Mm.
that's who you're going to connect with. That's who's going to stick with you for the long term, not just
Yep.
people that you think you need to be like in order to impress.
I think it's, there's this theory about 100 true fans, which
Mhm.
is if you can get one true fan a week and you can contain, and that true fan watches your content and is a part of your culture and is the right type of person, like that, that moves miles compared to getting a large rather inconsistent following, or that might be short term, or that might have been like, oh, I thought Sydney Cummings, I thought the channel was more like this and I'm noticing it's like that. You want the people that are truly with you. And so I love that you've kind of differentiated that the content you make and how you edit it and ultimately what you put out there can shape the type of people it attracts. So I think it's
Yeah.
awesome that you almost promote the concept of being goofy, because it's like show that we're human.
Yeah, and no one wants to, I mean, from a fitness standpoint, I know I wouldn't want to go work out with someone that was just like a robot, had no personality, and just made me feel less than. And
Right.
like that's a terrible experience. And fitness is already hard enough to approach and get into and stay consistent in it. So if I can make that a little bit less intimidating and actually
Mhm.
have you enjoy the time and get something out of it aside from just sweat, but maybe a little nugget that you can take into a really intimidating meeting a little bit later, Like it's about the experience, not about, I'm superior and I'm perfect and I'm never going to
Right.
mess up and you should appreciate me. It's
Hmm.
just give value to people and
I
be
love
in
that.
it with them.
Yep. That's so true. And I love that you can be successful while helping other people be successful. And talking about that, you took this channel and you really have turned it into a business. I mean, you have your own studio for shooting. Have a website, and you're like interested in merchandise. And so, talk to me a little bit about, and maybe this is more for content creators also who are out there that are wondering, what are ways that I can make this more economically friendly? Because maybe it's not about, I don't need to make so much money, but I need to be comfortable. And so
Yeah.
for people who do that, what are some of the things that you've done to diversify and to continue expanding the way that you can really grow Sydney Cummings as a YouTube channel and to a company?
Yeah, I think it's always going to be about, if it's true to your mission, it makes sense. So our mission has always been to make fitness accessible to people all over the world with no barriers. From that, we grew an audience who, needed fitness without a cost, or needed fitness without being close to a gym, or needed fitness without being able to afford childcare, or, without the intimidation of going to a gym. So we cultivated the community based off of the mission,
Hmm.
and how it was serving people. And from there, they gave us feedback like, this is incredible, but also I don't know how to eat. I don't know how to eat to hit my goals. I don't know what to eat to hit my goals. That moved us into, how do we serve these people in a better way? And
Right.
that's where the Sydney Squad membership came to fruition. We actually cultivated a community there that's off YouTube that now gives people a nutrition program. I go live every single day, just like this, talking to
Hmm.
them, answering questions about nutrition, bringing in specialists, registered dietitians, physical therapists, chiropractors, and just
Wow.
adding more value to people's life in that way, which came strictly from demand. It came from YouTube comments that said, I don't know what else to do, because there's so much more to the journey than fitness, like we talked about in the very beginning. And
Yep.
that's kind of the slogan of the Sydney Squad, adding more value to your journey. So that's where that came from, that community that has grown to almost 3,000 people now all over the world, men and women. They then wanted to rep some t-shirts and tank
Hmm.
tops. And so we grew into kind of operating a merchandise business as well, which we're excited to expand this year and move into like a custom cut and sew fitness apparel line. So instead of just like screen printed t-shirts, we're also going to be doing sports bras, leggings, shorts.
Wow.
And it's just listening to the community about like what else would serve them,
Mm.
not necessarily what you want to make happen, although that's a huge part of it, but what do they need? Like what else would
That's so.
help them live the lifestyle that, if you're attracting a like audience, what else kind of cultivates the community and helps them live in a way that would be their best life. So it's been very much like supply and demand, making
Yep.
sure that you listen to your audience that is asking you, hey, can you help us with this, and can you help us with this? And Dustin has been just fantastic with like business analytics and looking at what makes sense, what doesn't make sense, how to scale in terms of giving the right amount of information, right amount of video, so that you're not burning out completely.
Right.
So we looked a lot at what people were saying. It just kind of boils back to like, what do they need? How are we helping them? And if we're missing the mark somewhere, they're going to tell us, and they're going to say, this would
Yep.
also help.
And that's so true, because when you first start a channel, you might have this idea of how it's going to provide value to the
Hmm.
community that you built. But
Yeah.
then as that community builds, they'll give you feedback and you might realize, wow, like I didn't realize I'm helping in this way. I thought I was helping in that way. And
Yeah.
then it's kind of an opportunity for you, because going back to, you may not be able to read every comment, but or you may not be able to, I should say, respond to every comment, but
Right.
you can always acknowledge that feedback and you can make changes to your content, or you can add additional offerings in your content based off that feedback that you get from people saying, hey, I love that you do this, I would love more of that, or hey, I have a suggestion. And that probably means a lot to, when they see, hey, Sydney actually like listen to my idea, and that's so incredible, and that makes them feel that much more a part um, of the channel, and of the entire mission that you're acting on. So
Absolutely. Yeah. And it means a lot to people when they can see that you're genuinely in it to help them too, not just, you'll have a bunch of random requests too that won't make sense for your business. And
Yep.
so you have to kind of keep that principle in mind. Like, why are you really doing this? Like, it doesn't make sense for me to do certain type of workouts if that's not really what I'm great at. That's something I'm going to have to learn completely new. It doesn't make sense for me to do a whole bunch of different avenues when, you're going to get a lot of requests that don't add up to your true mission
Right.
and
Yeah.
pull you away from what you're good at. So keep that in
Right.
mind too. You can't just, appease everyone in hopes that all of these ideas will stick. But what's a really common thing that you hear all the time, and try to invest some time in learning how to make that great.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, it's like I feel like you'd be an incredible podcast host, but I realize that you have an entire mission, and
One
you
day,
don't,
one day.
yeah, you don't want to stray too far,
Yeah.
you want to stay focused. So but I think that there's some forms of feedback that are verbal, right? You go to YouTube, you see a comment, someone DMs you, that's very clear. There are others that could be more insights, or you have to do the digging. So I'm
Yeah.
curious if you and Dustin dig into your YouTube analytics ever, and you say, hey, this video is getting a lot of views, or this video has a lot of engagement, and or this video's click-through rate's really high, and you leverage those more subtle insights to inform your future content. Would you say analytics and that has been a big piece of you continuing to mold your channel into what it is?
Yeah, I think especially in the very beginning, it was like I mentioned earlier, we started with the idea that our YouTube approach would be things that people would add on to their workouts after they went to the gym. Because I really didn't realize how big of an at home workout community there was in the world.
Think
Like, I
about
thought,
today too, right? Like
yeah,
it's
now it's
exploding right now.
everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I had no idea that, people would want full length workouts, and the analytics came into play with every single video we uploaded. We would get some feedback that said, I'd love to see a little bit longer workout. And those comments started coming through a little bit more frequently. So we went from 5 to 10 minutes, 10 to 20 minutes. I did my first 30-minute workout, was terrified at that point to look like an amateur, to look like I was going to mess up, to look like not the most fit person in the world. And, I think that goes for everyone. Everyone always compares themselves to what's already established out there. So I was terrified. But when we did that, I remember Dustin saying, well, I don't know if you're going to like this, but the longer your videos are, the analytics are driving upwards. And every
Mm,
single time you make a 30-minute, it's better than the 20-minute. And then,
mm,
so we tried a 40-minute. It was better than the 30-minute. And that's when the analytics really came into play. What
mhm.
kind of workout? Maybe not so much isolation, but maybe more full body. And those tended to go a little bit further than like a
Interesting.
biceps and chest workout. So it was a lot of reflection on what works. A
Yep.
lot of the wording that we use now to kind of drive people to subscribe or to go to the Sydney Squad. We have seen like what videos really drive people to subscribe, or what information really resonates with people to purchase that t-shirt or to sign up for that membership. Like, some
Yep.
things I'll say it's nothing, no response, and some things people are like, you understand me, like this is it. So
Yep.
it's
It's
a lot of analytics.
But it's
Yeah.
fun, I love geeking out on channel
Yeah.
analysis and being like, it's so wonderful to find the hidden message, because
Yeah.
YouTube and other social medias with these analytic tools, they give you this opportunity. It's like there's never a clear answer, but there's kind of hints as to future direction. And it's
Right.
so rewarding when you look and you say, hey, what if we try a longer video, and you try that longer video and you notice it's successful. Like, that's such a great feeling, to
Yeah.
and I think it's important to keep testing and experimenting. As you said in the beginning, you don't necessarily know what's going to work or what's not, and you
Yeah.
anticipate that you're going to make mistakes, and your recording was probably less optimal than what it is today when you
Yeah.
think of a video now, but you have to start somewhere.
Right. You have to start in order to see progress. There's no way around it. It's just, people think like, well, I don't know, this is in the way, this is in the way, but there's no other way to progress aside from starting, and starting sloppy, starting messy, but learning as you start. Like, we never would have anticipated people wanted full length workouts, a program, but you look at what people respond to, and you look at like, okay, this is actually not what I expected. So, drop the ego there. It's not always going
Mm,
to be what you expect, but how can you serve and not lose yourself in it? You know, I'm
Yep.
not saying to do something like, I'm not going to start a gaming channel, but I can see
Yeah.
like in fitness and my pursuit for that, if it looks a little bit different than I thought, you know, why not serve people that want that if it's not straying from my mission? So there's so much
Mm.
power in the analytics.
Find that key objective, and there's realize that there's varying ways to achieve or to work towards achieving that objective. And I really love that. I think that it's so cool to think about, okay, here's my main goal, and
Hmm.
everything I do, I want to be in some way working toward that goal.
Right.
And it's just it's awesome, because I think a lot of times, and specific to YouTube, people get on, post a video, and they're like, okay, why didn't this get a lot of views? Delete the video, re-upload, get tired, and they forget about that goal, or maybe they went into it without a goal, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
um and so
And you
I,
learn kind of who you are and what you like serving, I guess is
yeah,
a great way to put it. Like what makes
yeah,
you feel good when you put it up. Like I
exactly.
really
Like,
feel like that made a difference in someone's life or
mm,
day.
do you do a lot of keyword research in your topics? So like, for example, is it more of, hey, I want to do a training on legs today, so I'm going to do that? Or do you like looking up semantics? Is there any, do you try and see, is there search volume for a particular thing? Or is it more of, in general, you get feedback from your community, people who are subscribed to you, or it's just something that you wanted to do that day?
We did a lot of keyword research, like click through volume, whatever was really hitting hard in the fitness industry in the beginning. That's why, you know, so many of our workouts, I figured out through that keyword research, like what
Hmm.
also works for people and why it was so researched. And so I've kind of learned from that. But it was a lot of, you know, full body HIIT workouts, a lot of cardio. So knowing that in the beginning, it helped us get traction on our channel and it
Hmm.
helped us draw people that were looking for this type of training. It helped us also steer clear of things that didn't work. For instance, if you and I were working out together and I was like, okay, guys, we're going to do 15 glute bridges and I finish them in 20 seconds, you finish them in 10 seconds, then it's just weird for you for
Mm.
10 seconds. So the formatting was
Mm.
something that's why people are searching for high intensity intervals, because it doesn't make sense for us to do 15 reps and you're always waiting on me to finish. And so that helped me kind of mold
Mm.
my approach as a trainer as well. But you know, there is kind of a double-edged sword to that, where you can always be looking to please and kind of
Yeah.
modify your approach, I guess,
Yeah.
and always seem like you're clickbaity. And to us, it's hard because we're putting out a workout every day, so every day can't be hit cardio body weight. It
Yeah, and
and
I
it
was gonna
can't
say,
be a
like,
program.
how do you vary your titles, or the way that you get, basically how you think about putting the video out if it's the same type of workout. And the other thing I was gonna say to your point is people pleasing. I think it runs in a lot of people, where it's just you want everyone to enjoy what you do. But I
Yeah,
think something that's hard, and but you do have to come to realize it, is not everyone is right for your channel's content.
yeah,
And there might be people in the fitness community that may just not be in your target audience.
for sure. Yeah,
And it's kind of one of those things where you have to focus on who are the people that resonate the most, and not feeling like you need to change your content to globalize it to where it fits every single person, because it's never going to.
yeah, it won't. And I think it helped us in the beginning, like looking at the keywords, looking at what people responded to, what people are searching for. It helped us grow an audience that could trust us. And now my approach is more of like, I'm going to come to you daily with a program, so that you know I'm not just looking for like a ton of hits or a ton of
Right,
views or
right.
anything like this. Like this is our
True
mission, is to
value.
change
Hmm.
lives instead of just like one workout that goes crazy for a year.
I love that.
And it
S-
it does kind of like have a little downfall to it, to where I
mm,
know people aren't always searching for like an upper body push workout. I
yeah.
totally get that, but my person out there is ideally looking for like, if
Yep.
you could mold your person, like where they're shopping, what they're doing each day, what their lifestyle is, and like name that person. Like maybe my person's name is Janet, and I'm speaking to Janet when I'm coaching. I'm thinking like, how would I coach this differently? What colors would resonate with her on a thumbnail? Like what does she need to hear at the
Mm,
beginning and at the end of a workout? You know, it's about making sure that you're not trying to please everybody all the time, but
yep.
your ideal person always feels valued. They always feel like you've got their back and you're preaching to them and you're there for them, and what you're making serves them.
I love that. Yeah, I think your channel's so unique again to everyone out there. There aren't many channels who can upload or who do upload every
Mhm.
single day. It's just so difficult. And you mentioned having a team and,
Mhm.
having Dustin and, it's amazing to find people who are like-minded, who are, interested in achieving a similar mission and almost recruiting them to be a part of the mission. Two brains are better than one.
Yeah.
And, but, I think it's so interesting because you have this effect where you have a lot of people watching your videos, but there's not necessarily one or two that completely stand out, that completely, skyrocketed the channel. It's more of just this consistent approach of content and content. And there's endless content where once you have 500 videos, like at least 50 of them are probably searchable. And that's just going to still get you the same traffic as if you completely optimize for trying to get some really clickbait thumbnail. And I just love that you stick to your mission no matter what. So,
Yeah.
um, something I'm curious if you have any advice, like let's say I started a YouTube channel tomorrow, or even right after this,
Yeah.
watching this video, would you have any advice to the person who is in that position where they're watching this for motivation and they're seeing your channel and they're like, wow, Sydney has 800,000 subscribers. I don't think I'm going to get that. Like any advice for the new and upcoming YouTuber or content creator?
I would say I never thought I would get 800,000 subscribers. I
Hmm.
never in my wildest dreams thought that was possible. So it's hard for me to say like what's going to work for everyone, but I
Mm,
do know if I could talk to myself when I first started the YouTube channel, I would not put so much pressure on myself to be perfect, and truly, just be who I am, and
mm,
don't worry about messing up. Don't worry about flubbing your words. Don't worry about making it flawless, but truly just like be who you are and stick to your passion. And no matter what comes up, make sure that this is truly a priority for you. If you want it to go, further than just like your immediate friends or people that if you want it to really impact or help people outside of that, make sure it's a priority for you, so that you can, when things do come up, when you get unmotivated, when you get distracted, when it's the holidays and you're super busy, or for me, like when I experienced an injury, if I would have just been like, I'm not really invested in it anyways, I would
hmm.
have quit then.
Right.
So no matter what comes up, be invested, be resilient around the obstacles, and learn from your audience, learn from the analytics, study this as a research project, and your approach can be fine tuned while your mission stays the same.
Mm. I love that.
Yeah.
Last question is, I'm just curious for anyone out there who's been following you on this journey for the past 3 years, or even just now. Is there anything you'd like to say to them who's watching this?
Yeah, just so much gratitude. So I'm just so honored that you chose me as your trainer.
Mm.
I don't take that lightly. It's not something that I don't wake up every day feeling so blessed about. It's just you choosing me to be your trainer, for you sticking with me through learning how to be the best trainer through, the past couple years, all that I've had to kind of overcome, and hopefully you've gotten some value out of seeing resiliency in me. Have so much more coming for you and so many more ways that I'm excited to serve you. But overall, just like an immense amount of gratitude for letting me be a part of your life, and for you prioritizing your life in a way that brought us together so I could train you, I could work out with you, and we can keep growing and crushing this life together.
And I'm sure I can speak for your audience and want to send that right back to you. And thank you for
Oh,
being
thank
so amazing and pretty much dedicating your life to inspiring and motivating others,
yeah,
even when the times were difficult. You're truly a special person,
thank
Sydney.
you.
So absolutely. So yeah, guys, anyone who's watching this, if you have not checked out Sydney's channel, definitely check it out. The links will be in the description below, for workouts. If you want to join me trying to make it through one of them,
Yeah. Yep.
let's do it. So yeah, I'll definitely leave all the links to Sydney's socials, and I look forward to seeing you guys on the next interview. So thanks so much for your time.
Thank you guys.
Thanks so much for watching, guys. Make sure to subscribe and ring that bell to stay notified on future That Viral Moment videos, where we interview popular content creators and help them share their story so that you can learn how to grow your own channel.